It's nearly the growing season, and so it's time to conclude it's not nearly the growing season. In a couple of months it will be. So it's time to conclude the talk about the seeds that I'm growing this year. I'm going to talk about some more of the seeds I'm growing this year. This time brassicas, leafy things which are not brassicas, and beans and peas. Let's start with the beans and peas. We've got pea ambassador. Now, if you've watched one of the videos earlier, then you'll see that we put in pea Felton first in containers and covered them in cling film. Pea ambassador is the variety which will grow later on in the year, and the reason why I've selected this variety is because it's going to go into ground which will become available when the potatoes come out in early June. So I needed a variety which can cope with being sown quite late in the sowing season. And this in fact it can be sown as late as July, and so there we are. And it says it will give a successful crop even as late as October. So there we go. So we've got plenty of pea ambassador. Runner bean Polestar. In the previous video, in yesterday's video, I mentioned sweet peas that are going to grow in between each of the runner bean poles, and this is the variety I've chosen, Polestar, because as the name suggests, it produces absolutely excellent runner beans, stringless, very long pods. In fact, I think some exhibition growers have been known to use that in the past. Now, we wanted to grow Borlotti beans, Borlotti lingua di Fuoco specifically, but that's a climbing bean, and we didn't have enough space. We don't have enough space for all these climbing beans, so we've got the dwarf version. Dwarf French bean Borlotti Supremo Nano. And if you look there, you can see that the seeds are very speckled, almost like baked beans really, and we'll be sowing those in containers. More pea ambassador, more pea Felton first here as well. I'll be sowing some more of those in containers probably later on, probably April or May sometime. We saved some seeds last year. The great thing about beans is it's very easy to save the seeds. There we are. We've got broad bean masterpiece, and I saved the seeds from that one particularly because masterpiece is, well, to be honest, it's the only variety of broad beans I've ever actually liked. Every year we grow them and it gets, we grow broad beans and they get aphids and they get eaten and almost completely consumed by aphids. We sometimes manage to save some broad beans from it, but it gets a very severe attack. This variety didn't. Only a couple of plants out of the 12 that we grew were actually affected by it at all. So I don't know whether it's supposed to be resistant, but it did seem quite resistant to it in our garden. And also the broad beans that it produced stayed very tender and very flavoursome, I thought, for quite a long time, whereas normally with broad beans they stay like that for a little while, but leave it too long before you pick them and they're much harder and not particularly nice. but these ones were very nice. Other seeds that we saved from last year, or my mum saved actually, were Arugula, which, as it says on there, is cultivated rocket. Yeah, very nice, a very nice thing. That's actually what it looks like. That's the cultivated rocket, and very nice, very spicy. And if you want to save the seeds, then you just let the whole thing, let all of the rocket run to seed, because it kind of cross-pollinates with itself, if that makes sense. And then once the seeds are formed, save the seed. And as long as you haven't also let other things run to seed, which might cross-pollinate with it, then the rocket will, the seed that you've picked will be what they call true seed, as in it will produce the following year when you sow it exactly the same types of plant that it came from. In terms of other leafy vegetables, cos lettuces, little gem, they're exactly the type that you buy in the supermarkets, and there we are. They are very little and they're very sweet. I've got just a mixed salad leaves. There we are. I found before that these mixtures can be very spicy as well, which I like. Crisp head or iceberg lettuces, saladin. Name suggests that it can go in salads, and that's right, I think. Winter density, because I like to have salad leaves which are particularly suitable for winter. Lechuga rossa di Trento, which we had left over from last year, and as you can see it's particularly attractive, so that's why I wanted to grow that one. We have sensitive lamps. Brassicas. Cabbages, particularly good for growing in a container, I think that one is. Cabbage greyhound. Broccoli, this is the same variety that we've grown, that we sowed last year and is still in the ground this year. I like it very much. Early purple sprouting. Particularly affected by wind though, I think, but maybe not. Oh, actually something that can be affected by wind are Brussels sprouts. Evesham special. In fact, I find that you have to plant them particularly straight. You have to plant them particularly straight, because if the wind blows them over, then they can get blown. Last year we didn't have any sprouts because I made the mistake of trying to grow them in containers, and then they got too big for the containers, and then when I planted them out they had become too pot bound and didn't grow well in the open ground, and then it was too late for me to sow any more or buy any plants from the garden centre. So that's a lesson learnt, and I will look forward to even more to having them next year. Kale, two different types of kale. This one because it's not really kale in my eyes, black Tuscany. It's lovely, but it has a dwarf habit and produces very curly, what you might call Savoyed leaves, almost like a Savoy cabbage, very irony and proven to have lots of antioxidants, in fact. Something that is more of a traditional type of kale is Westland Winter, lovely flavour, and that is actually a kale, and that's more of that there. Leaf beet. Now, this is something that is so beautiful that it can be put in the flower border as well as the veg patch. And it's called Bright Lights, this variety. Why is it called leaf beet? Well, when you grow beetroot, the leaves on it are exactly the same as these, except these varieties that are actually called leaf beet have been specifically bred to produce far more leaves than root. So the beetroot, the leaves on top of a beetroot plant, you can actually eat them. They are leaf beet. They are, another word for it is chard, but you get far fewer of them, obviously, because you're growing beetroot. More cabbage, early Jersey Wakefield, another one that's suitable for containers. I think it says, we tried growing it last year, but can't remember why it wasn't successful actually. But this one has solid conical heads, so we'll try again growing it this year. Cabbage Winter King. I don't normally try to get cabbages for winter because normally in winter we've got Brussels sprouts, we've got broccoli, we've got plenty of things which have cauliflower, which have cabbage-like leaves, so I don't bother trying to grow a cabbage for winter. But I thought I will this year because I want a Savoy type one. Cauliflower Ellesmere. We have exactly this variety growing in the garden at the moment, obviously having been sown last year, and it's a nice spring cauliflower. We've grown it before, and it produces a very nice, very nice firm heads of cauliflower. So there we are. That has completed part 3 of my little seed talk about what we're going to be growing this year. I hope you enjoyed it and found it informative in any way. The garden report Tumblr is down there, the link is down there in the doobly-doo. And yeah, thank you for watching, thank you for subscribing, those that already have. If you haven't, please do, that would be very nice. And I'll have another video for you tomorrow. Thank you very much. Bye.